when a student turns in a thesis in a university, we have to check how original this thesis is. We take his thesis and put in a software called Turnitin. Turnitin has got a software to do all Google Analytics. I took the manifesto for Kenya Kwanza and put it into a Turnitin. 98% similar to what already exists outside there. You understand? In the university, we accept 25% similarity test. This was 98%. So let's forget about the manifesto. By saying manifesto will bring differences, is the same. Let's just talk about the arm of healthcare, isn't it? Baba care, compare them. It was actually done clearly by saying everything Raila proposed before, Ruto has proposed. Manufacturing, it is there. Putting money more in healthcare workers, it is there.
But you can agree that both of the manifestos are sort of trying to address the challenges that Kenyans are facing, so that probably perhaps that's where they converge.
So Zainab, that's my point now, that now by Philip telling us that Kenyans will choose the president based on manifesto, I'm telling them they are 98% similar. So then the question comes into who has history? And let me bring this point clearly, Zainab. If you look at the final analysis, Kenya Kwanza, Raila Odinga says that we have gone through what's called freedom liberation. That's the first liberation. The second liberation is political liberation. The third liberation is economic liberation. Then Raila is promoting what's called social transformation. The backline is saying that the former president have done what they have done. Now what remains is money in the pocket to people. We have built roads, we have done infrastructure. Now we are going through social transformation where about 6,000 shillings in your pocket, Baba care, this, that, this, isn't it?
But
now, on the other side of Kenya Kwanza, they say, okay, we are promising what is called a disruption, saying that we are going through bottoms up. Bottoms up meaning that we have been doing top down, now we are going to a different economic model of bottoms up. That means for me, a political state capture dimension, a political disruption, social disruption, and economic disruption. They are going for a new economic model, new political dispensation, and new social transformation. But my point is this. When Raila says, I will build on the best given what Kenya is, isn't it? This guy says, forget about Kenya, let's open a new page. The question goes to, whom can you trust? Can you forget about Kenya?
Okay,
can you forget about the infrastructure has been put? The process is there, Zainab. If you have decided that you are building a house this year, I'm sure that this year you don't have money for parties. So we have already built infrastructure. It is now time to move on. So manifesto for Azimio says, we have seen the worst of this time, building infrastructure, economic transformation. Let's have the best by putting money in your pocket. On the other side, we are changing the entire economic architecture of the country. So whom can you trust is the issue. Now, Zainab, if you have a wallet and you have a granary, would you give it to Rigathi and Ruto Gachagua ticket to hold for you your wallet and your granary? Or will you give your wallet or granary to Martha Baba ticket? That's the main question here, not about manifesto anymore.
All right, Philip.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think if Kenyans would like to know the history of this country and how Kenya transitioned since independence, I think Raila Odinga can tell us about the history and liberations and whatever and revolutions. But when it comes to real figures, I think William Ruto, if you check his manifesto, it has figures. The Raila manifesto and the Azimio, they're just talking about 6,000 here. But they cannot tell you where that money will come from. But for Kenya Kwanza and William Ruto, I think they have given the figures. If you check in their manifesto, really you'll find the figures. But the other thing that we need to say is that Raila Odinga seems to have attracted the old guards. Like, for example, where I come from, picking the old guards in Rift Valley and the whole of Kenya. So that's why I said he's good for history, and we thank him for that, for what he has done for Kenya, the freedom and whatever. But right now, the greatest thing in Kenya is the economy. And number two is the economy. That is what Kenyans say.
And you don't feel like that perhaps the agenda that Raila Odinga promises and puts across would be able to solve the economic issue that Kenyans are facing?
If you check right now, sign up, the energy that is required right now in order to change Kenya. Do you think Raila Odinga can manage? Really, there is a lot of work to be done, such that he is already a spent force, such that he needs...
What do you mean by spent force?
It needs a dynamic person who has such a manifesto like the one that we have seen in Kenya Kwanza, someone who has the energy and a team
that's where I disagree, because we have agreed
who are going
here
to change this country.
Philip, we have already agreed.
I think
we have already agreed that the manifesto here are similar. The issue is, whom can you trust with this manifesto now? Because if things are similar, let's say I'm wearing boots of the same Adidas. You are wearing boots of Adidas. We are going to the field. Will it be Ronaldo's boots or Messi's boots? That's the difference here. So who is going to be the Messi of Kenya, Ronaldo of Kenya? And to bring this thing clearly, the question here, if you ask about who can implement this manifesto, I can ask you, who is the team Kenya Kwanza? Look at the team sheet of Kenya Kwanza and see who is there. Look at the team sheet for Azimio and see who is there. Whom are you with? If you look at Rigathi and Ruto, look at their history. Because the past is a good predictor of the future. Where were they during the political liberation? Where were they? They were with where we were trying to liberate ourselves from, isn't it? What is it that they can bring which is new? If they were Moi, and Moi era was an era that we need to forget about a little bit. I'm sorry, there are some good things there. For example, education was there. We drank Nyayo milk, but that was that time. Now, they were during the Nyayo era of lack of political freedom. Now they are coming back by saying they're the people who can transform this country. Where was Raila? Raila and Martha were in the trenches fighting for reforms. Now, how can somebody who was so stuck in the past with the Moi era, Rigathi was Moi's special deal, Ruto was in the Youth for Kanu 92, you tell me what new thing they have learned. Just tell me what have they smoked between that time and now.
I know Philip wants to respond to that.
Yeah, I think, Zainab, every one of us has a history. But in Kenya now, as I have continued to say, Kenyans are looking at the current problems facing Kenya. You know, the problem with these Azimio people is that what they do is that they want to give you a history, they are bringing in trust issues. This is not an academic discourse. What is happening in Kenya now, the youth of this country, if you tell them about Vasco da Gama and you tell them about the history, Kenyans would like to know, will I have a job? What will I eat tomorrow? Yeah? Where will I live, for example? And that's why the manifesto of Kenya Kwanza brings in the issue of even health. Yeah?
But you also have Babake on the other hand.
Yeah, but you see, I request that Philip needs to read the manifesto for Azimio like I've read the one of Kenya Kwanza.
But you see, when you come, you know, Azimio and Raila, they are good in heavy terms, revolutions, Babake, and whichever, that cannot be converted. You cannot really convert
Philip, I think you need to read the manifesto
into tangible results.
All right.
And in fact, he's saying the manifestos are similar. But in terms of details and action plan, I think
so you feel that's where
that's
what is missing. Yes. That's what is missing. That's what sets apart the manifestos.
Yes, exactly.
And you believe the Kenya Kwanza manifesto has a higher.
It has timelines. It has action plans. It is quantifiable, and it's one of the best.
Zainab, we even have one